Good afternoon, everyone. May I have your attention, please? It's good to see everyone on this beautiful Saturday morning in District 6. Folks who are standing, I'm asking that you try to find a seat if you can. Again, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this beautiful Saturday morning in Council District 6. Council District 6, won't you give yourselves a round of applause?
We can do better than that.
My name is Gus Augustus, and I have the honor and privilege to be joining you this morning or this afternoon as a moderator or as one of the moderators. And I would like to also introduce to my left, your right, your mayor's community liaison, and her name is Susanna Fine. Won't you give her a round of applause? Many of you are aware that this is the postponement date for our February date, which was canceled due to snow, ice, rain, snow, due to the weather. And so we are happy to be here on this beautiful Saturday afternoon in District 6, welcoming you, and many of you who are the community leaders of District 6 have joined us. And I really applaud your efforts in the past several months, where literally it was days where we went out at 28, 32 degrees outside, and many of you walked with Susanna and members of the staff of the Mayor's Office of Neighborhoods, asking residents like Mr. Tony Bridges in the back there of the Glen community, asking residents what matters most to you. And we handed out surveys. We offered short links to those of you who are web savvy and internet savvy, and we received a robust response from the entire district. Members from Roland Park, Park Heights, Brighton, I believe, also joined us on a pre-cabinet in the community meeting where we talked about refining what those issues are. And so we think we have a really good caption of what matters most to you in the 6th District. And just to make sure that we're on point with that, we're engaging you, members of the community, to join with us as members of the Mayor's Cabinet respond to what those questions, comments, and issues were. And so, without further ado, I would like to present the Mayor of the City of Baltimore, Mayor Stephanie Rawlings-Blake.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. Gus, Susanna, thank you very much. I want to thank all of you for being here today. I know it's a beautiful, beautiful Saturday morning. We're right next to Silburn, which looks like it is yearning to be walked in, and I would much prefer to be out there playing in the daffodils. So I know that many of you could have been anywhere else this morning, and you chose to be here with us, so I'm very, very grateful. And I really wanted to thank and commend your councilwoman, Councilman Sharon Green Middleton. She's done a tremendous job of advocacy for the district. We know it is a diverse district with many challenges that requires a lot of attention. I want to thank you throughout the years for all of your hard work, Councilwoman. Thank you. I also want to thank KIPP Academy for hosting us. I want to thank Principals Natalie Walker and Mike Lucas, as well as the Executive Director, Kate Mayer. Thank you all for hosting us. KIPP is not just in the community, but it is of the community, and this is evidence of that by their willingness to host us today. You all know that I have a goal of growing our city. And in order to grow our city, we have to attract new residents. That's important. But more importantly for me is the things that we're doing today. Looking for ways to keep those residents who are here, give you more reasons to want to stay in Baltimore. And that's why we're here. over the course of this afternoon, I want to give you all the opportunity to engage directly with cabinet members about issues that matter most to you. I look forward to hearing your concerns, as well as I look forward to resolving some of the issues that we have found during our canvassing and in communication with you prior to this meeting. I encourage you to stop by our breakout sessions following the presentations, and be sure to fill out the surveys. The only way that we know if this is working or if there are things that we need to tweak is by having these surveys and having some real honest feedback from you. So I really encourage you to participate with filling out the surveys. They are a critical tool in helping us to keep your government informed about your needs, so we can make sure that they address, and to make sure that government is working better for you. With that, I'm going to turn things over to your outstanding councilwoman. You know, this is a program, this cabinet and community is something that is evolved, and I want to thank all my cabinet members who are here and have worked so hard in the run-up to this event to not just ask the question about what the pressing issues are in the district, but to also work to resolve them. So I want to thank all of you. I look forward to hearing the presentations. We've worked our way through some of the districts in an evolving cabinet in the community program. And I think, you know, Councilwoman, I really like the way that the layout of the program now. And I think for me, it's a benefit that I feel like as we have tweaked it throughout the other districts, I feel like we've gotten it right, and we saved it for 6th District, my old home district. So with that, I would like to present to you your councilwoman, Sharon Green Middleton.
And so we cued the lights a little early. Can we get the lights back on? Sorry. The lights will go out for the presentation, but here we are. Councilwoman Middleton.
Did not want me to speak. Good morning or afternoon, everyone. And the 6th District has been so looking forward to this day, so that we can roll up our sleeves and try to get some answers and some things resolved that basically that I've been trying to get resolved. And it's a chance for the community to finally just, you know, this is the day. You see the cabinet members right up front here, and they are going to listen and try to work out concerns that have not really been resolved in the community. I'm thankful that it's our turn. I know that the mayor, and she said she's been having these throughout the city, and they've tweaked and did some things to try to improve. The 6th District is a very diverse district. And just real quick, remember it starts at Roland Park, Charles Street, all the way down the Windsor Hills. Mostly residential. The top business, of course, is Sinai in the district. And then we have a lot of small mom and pops businesses that desperately need help. There's been neglect throughout different communities. There's been communities that have reinvented themselves. Communities like, I guess the first one that comes to mind is Callaway Garrison has really started coming to the forefront and having meetings again. And 40, 50 people, Mayor, have been showing up at their meetings. And that little thing started with, believe it or not, a project on Callaway with those crabapple trees. And then it just evolved, and they now have meetings and at the library, and we still have that Forest Park Library, and it's definitely being utilized with community meetings. And of course, the center of the district is Park Heights, which is definitely the area that is in the most need. It's an awful lot to be done. There's things, we have housing here that that can answer questions. We have Cheo Hurley with the Park Heights Renaissance that, you know, kind of works with the master plan area. So, and I see representatives from most of the communities. We have our thriving Zeta Center, which I must say is still the best senior center in the city. Not just because it's in my district, it is one of the thriving, most active senior centers. And I thank you, Mayor, for, you know, giving grants and helping to keep that moving. But there's still a number of things that, you know, we need help and answer to, and it's things like DPW and transportation, and all those folks are here. Of course, public safety is an issue. We have a issue going on with a Langston Hughes Elementary right now. But constituents and community leaders, I'm telling you, today is today. Today is the day to get your concerns answered, and I'm right there with you every step of the way. So again, thank you, Cabinet, and thank you, Mayor, for having this in District 6.
Thank you. And now for the presentation of the results from the surveys. As Madam Mayor mentioned earlier, the process or the format has changed a bit. What we've done is over 60 days, the last 60 days, we surveyed members of the residents of District 6, asking you again what matters most to you. And our presentation today and the representation of agencies at the tables in front of you are a direct reflection of the results of those surveys. And so now, your community liaison from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhoods, Ms. Susanna Feinstein, and I will now ask that we cue the lights and hand it over. Yes, ma'am.
There's one more thing that I must say, and you know how we all have a team that we work with, and I definitely believe in partnerships, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention my staff that helps me so much in this community. Robert and Michael are here today. Could you stand? And we also know that I have Ty Miller, and when the date was, you know, changed and rearranged, Ty had already made plans for just a little small vacation, and I definitely wanted her to take that vacation. So, but I wanted to thank my staff for believing in what I believe in and working with the community. And, you know, constituent service is always number one, and without them sending and working with my message, it would not get across. So again, I'd like to publicly thank my staff for working with me and helping me. Take it over.
Thank you for those words, Michael, and that whole team have been so helpful in this process. My name is Susanna Feinstein, and I'm the Northwest Neighborhood Liaison in the Mayor's Office of Neighborhoods. This process started a ways back. We first started canvassing in January, and I'm so thankful that you're all here today for the second go-round. What we've been doing, just to give you a brief overview, is basically going out into neighborhoods and knocking on doors and canvassing and asking what the most important issue is to homeowners and people who live in the neighborhoods. So the issues that we asked about included sanitation, housing, public safety, and everything on this list. And people would give me their name, information, and what information they would like to offer about these topics. And it was a really great learning opportunity. We gathered a ton of data from canvassing door to door, and we also got a lot of information from the online surveys that were sent out. And between the two, we reached a ton of people in District 6. And some of the results were sort of surprising and some were not. And the interesting thing is that we broke it down by neighborhoods also, so we were able to see in District 6 what are the most important issues, and then furthermore which issues are the biggest by neighborhood. So as you can see, the biggest issue here was public safety. That had about 39% of the written via online responses and door-to-door responses. After that, We had education and youth empowerment. It's a really big issue, so we're definitely going to discuss all of these things. This is just a brief overview. And you can see for yourself that the next one was housing. Housing is a very big issue in the 6th District. And we also, transportation and infrastructure. And then after that came issues like drugs and employment and other things. So that is sort of how it all broke down. And I just wanted to quickly thank all the neighborhood leaders that are here. They came out with me during weeks where it was snowing, icing, raining, sleeting, sometimes sunny, sometimes, sometimes we were only able to get a couple people to open the doors because they weren't home, but these neighborhood leaders are so dedicated, and the 6th District is such an amazing district, and I feel really, really grateful to work with everyone in this room and to find some solutions to the issues that have been presented on that pie chart. And so from here, we're gonna have each department leader speak about the results. And first we will have the police.
Before, Commissioner, I'm gonna ask if you, 1 second. Commissioner, can you see? I wanted to know if we could cut the lights on. I wanted to know if you guys, can you still see the wall? That's better? All right. Those of you who can see this, what the commissioner reports on and all of the agency heads report on will basically be what you see up on the screen. So if you cannot see this because you're in the back, you will hear it verbally.
And don't forget the breakouts.
And, oh yes, and after the presentations, we will have breakout sessions for each of the agencies, not only those who are here at the table, but also those who are with us in the audience. And you should have a map on the program. When you came in, you should receive the program that has a schematic of where 311, which is operating live this afternoon, as well as the other agencies who are with us this afternoon.
And one more.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, you'll notice we did not do a sign-in sheet for everyone that's here. That is because we're asking that everyone fills out the surveys that are on the back of that map piece of paper. Please, please, please fill in the surveys. That's really important information as well. So if you can assure me that you will all turn in the surveys, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood staff are around and they will collect those surveys.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry. First up, we have Director William Johnson.
Right on under that bus.
Okay, good afternoon, Madam Mayor, Councilwoman Middleton. The Department of Transportation has conducted the following activities in District 6 between 2014 and 2015. In our maintenance division, hang on one second.
Can you talk a little louder or right into the mic?
Okay.
Thanks.
In our maintenance, is this better?
It is better. There's a challenge that people say they can't see you. Believe you me, he's here. He can't stand and read unless he goes up, and I know you have a lot of documents. So let's just get through the information. Don't forget we will be having the breakout sessions as well.
In the maintenance division, we've completion of crosswalks at 6 locations to provide safe pedestrian environment in 2014 and 2015. Our milling and paving activities have included several blocks within the district. I believe there are 20 blocks that are scheduled for completion in District 6 this year. We've converted 231 light fixtures to LED light fixtures throughout the district, and several installations of benches were requested within this district. Our tech division, or Transportation Engineering and Construction Division, has performed repairs to 6 footway locations so far this year. Tech will be working on several alley locations in the district. Resurfacing and paving efforts, which is more of a heavy construction type work, is going on at various locations throughout District 6. And in our planning division, we have issued an evaluation, an ADA self-evaluation to assist us with locating areas where we need to make improvements for ADA. The Safe Routes to School program is scheduled for continued implementation in this district. There are 2 schools that are scheduled for this phase in 2015. That's Liberty Elementary School and Pimlico Elementary School. We are also doing a survey, or have conducted a survey and identified 266 what we call unfriendly bike grades, and those are the grades where if cyclists are going down the street, the grooves, if you will, are turned the wrong way. So we're in the process of setting up a project to correct those throughout the district, and we've also done a street light analysis in all high crimes areas identified. There are 2 high crimes zones that we've identified, and approximately 544 street lights are going to be converted to a higher aluminum light to increase the lighting and support our police efforts in fighting crime. The traffic division, we have designed and started implementation at several locations for intersection upgrades. We have proposed locations where we're going to be installing cameras, installation of audible pedestrian signals so that to assist with street crossings, and pedestrian signals and push buttons at 6 locations throughout the district. Signal timing optimization has also been ongoing at several locations in this district. Safety, our parking enforcement data, the 311 emergency system for calendar year 2014 through 2015 reports that a total of 18,532 parking complaints have been investigated and abated during this current year. Other efforts that are ongoing include service request summaries from the district, and our lane miles completed in the past 5 years have been significant and will remain at about the same levels going forward in fiscal 15 and fiscal 16. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. I know that just so you know, we're working on trying to deal with the hum. We brought additional audio equipment to try to enhance the ability for you to hear, but we are having a little technical difficulty, and we are working on it. Thank you very much, Director Johnson. I know that one of the top priorities for this community was issues around transportation, and I know that your department has worked hard to try to resolve those issues. We're about to go into question and answer, so that's going to lead that. But before that, I wanted to give the councilwoman a chance if she had any issue that she wanted to address.
There have, at least through my office, there has been certain areas that have been just over and over again feeling that they need either a 4-way stop sign or speed humps. One area in particular that just really that stands out with me right now is right there at Doefield and Lewin. Has been just a constant problem, because that's also where the that's where the transfer station is at Lewin, and it's a lot of activity. I think, I don't know if that still happens, but I think police cars are parked there. There's, DPW. It's just and the times that they go and do the, survey, it's really not the times where the problems are. And if not a 4-way stop sign, some type of traffic calming device is a must, because it's just a constant concern, and there has been some accidents, and there's pockets of areas like that just really need something needs to be there. I'm happy to hear that you're going to start improving the lighting in areas. That's definitely been a concern all over the whole 6th district. It's, again, heavily residential, lots of trees, and of course, with the center of Park Heights, where, we have the most crime, there's, the lighting has been proven that, when you have more lights, it helps. Major Partee within the Northwest District, that's always been one of his concerns in our discussions as well. And it would be good if you kind of talk with the commissioner and the major to kind of work with some of those areas. 5100 block of Park Heights, I can just kind of go on. Garrison Boulevard definitely needs constant lighting, because we know that that's also still a troubled prostitution walking area.
All right, we are going to go into, we have, for each of these presentations, we'll have an opportunity for a few questions from the audience. And please remember that we also have the breakout sessions as well to more fully engage with the department heads. The other thing I will say is the presentations that you see on the screen, you do have access to them online. If you look at the bottom right corner, is this for me? The bottom right corner of your program, on one side it's the map, on the other side it's all the senior staff and the department head names. At the bottom is where you can get the presentations. So if you can see it, if you can't see it, if you want to look at it later, you'll have access to it there. And I am going to turn it over to Gus. Gus.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have time for a few questions as it relates to the Department of Transportation. As the mayor stated earlier, we are trying to work on this feedback in the room. Wouldn't you know it, when we did a sound check, everything was fine, and now we're hearing a little feedback, so we apologize for the feedback. I know that there were a few of you who asked questions during the Cabinet and Community meeting about DOT. I'm just asking that you just raise your hand if you would like to ask a question, and Mr. Tony White will come to you with a mic, or you guys can meet halfway for you to raise your question. Any questions about the Department of Public Works? Excuse me, Department of Transportation. I saw one hand. Any other hands? Two hands. All right. So we have two hands. Yes, sir. And is that Mike? Is that Will? Yes, sir. All right, Will. Let me see if we can hear you first.
I think I'm loud enough.
All right, good enough.
As it relates to the Department of Transportation, can you give us an update on the status of the Park Circle project, the $11 million facility project?
I know that we met with, there was a community meeting, I believe, in January regarding Park Circle. My staff in the back will have the details on like the current status in terms of next steps following that meeting. I don't have that with me today here, but at the breakout session, if you'll come to the breakout session, we can definitely get you that information.
Also, as we go to the second person who raised their hand, I believe that was Izzy. Did I see Izzy? Yes. Please stand up and introduce yourself, young man. Good to see you, sir. By the way, there's a link on the program where you can get access to the presentation itself. I just want to reiterate that point. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Mayor and members of the Cabinet, Councilmember Middleton, Mayor Rawlings-Blake. My name is Izzy Patoka. I'm Director of Community Development at LifeBridge Health, and I just want to thank you for bringing your cabinet and the community. It means a lot to members of the community in this part of the city. I wanted to let you know that LifeBridge Health is ramping up its community development efforts. One of the reasons they brought me on was to assist in that effort. While many of our upgrades will interrelate with many of your departments, we are working on some exciting projects like the Lanier Avenue beautification, and Director Johnson we hope to work with your office on that. And there's a Lanier Pocket Park that we're working on as well. We've got a great Healthy Neighborhoods initiative in Silburn. So we look forward to working with all of you. And so I don't really have a question. I just want to thank you for coming out here and let you know that LifeBridge, a major employer in the area, is very interested in working with its neighboring communities. And also, while I'm up here, so I don't have to come up here again, I'd like to give a shout out to the police department, because I've seen the police on foot in the 5100 block of Park Heights Avenue almost every time I ride by. So thank you, Mayor Rawlings-Blake.
Thank you, Mr. Patoka. Okay, yes. This will be our last question before we go into DPW's presentation. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Rhonda Wimbish. I'm a resident in the 6th District, and I'm also a community advocate. I'm connected to various neighborhood associations, but not just associations, the people in general. And I don't know anyone that was surveyed. Ashburton, 6th District, East Arlington, Garrison Hills, I just spoke to everybody here, Hilltop. I'm not really sure who was surveyed, because we've always been slighted. And right now, I know the questions are supposed to be directed toward the Department of Transportation. Our streets are awful. There needs to be a turn light on Drew Hill, turning onto Ricestown Road and Park Heights. It's awful in the morning. The children are trying to cross that street, going to school. They can't because no one knows where to turn. And then people are going around people to get down Drew Hill Avenue. It's just a mess. So I did talk to Sharon Middleton's office about it, and Tywanda was working on it with the Department of Transportation. That's what she followed up and told me. But it needs to be a light, even if it's not the final resolution. There needs to be something that happens every morning to help these kids, because I ride through there every day taking my daughter to school, and it's really, really bad. But I am concerned that we have not received a survey. Northwest Baltimore, especially the 6th District, is experiencing demographic changes. And I feel that we are a target to many things, higher water bills, higher taxes, and just neglect. I mean, just in general, even with police presence. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you for the 2 claps from someone who gave us a clap. And so, just as an FYI and for the record, all of the neighborhoods that you mentioned actually were in fact surveyed, and the survey results, give me a moment, and the survey results reflect that. However, if you did not complete a survey, as the mayor stated earlier, the survey is available on the program that you received, and it also is online. So feel free, you can actually access it right now via your mobile phone. And we also have on the presentation, once you go online, a reflection of the neighborhoods who responded to the survey. And so next up, we have Director Chow of the Department of Public Works. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, Councilwoman, citizen of District 6, and colleagues. Well, I'm going to be, okay, yeah. I'll be covering some of these topics in addition to the ones you see on the screen. I'm going to also touch something about energy, because the Energy Office has recently been assigned from DGS to DPW, so I want to talk a little bit about some of the initiatives that's going on in the Energy Office. First of all, let me start by saying that we are very proud of our clean and great tasting drinking water. Matter of fact, it's award-winning. We have consistently won best tasting water in the region for a number of years now. And secondly, and I want to say, the water system is a independently run system with the enterprise fund, so that is different than or is not being subsidized by the general fund. We are serving not only the citizens within the city, but we also serve the 5 surrounding counties as well. So what that means is that we need to be fiscally responsible in terms of our revenue and our expenditures. And so the first topic I want to talk about is the water turnoff. As any business, in order for us to be self-sufficient, in order for us to make sure that we have sufficient revenues to keep our operation in terms of producing great tasting drinking water and treat the wastewater that's coming back to us before we put it back in the environment, we got to make sure that our citizens pay the water bills. Understanding there has been some discussion recently about our turnoff season, which, by the way, this happens every year from April 1st to October 31st annually, going back for quite some time, decades. However, this year, what we decided to do is that we want to be very transparent, to come out and basically announce the turnoff season that's starting. However, the emphasis is about the assistance program that's available not only within the DPW, but across the city, other city agencies that perhaps could be an assistance to your bills. So what is the definition of delinquencies? If you are $250 in arrear, and if you are 2 quarters in arrear, 2 quarters means 6 months, then you are eligible for turnoff. However, of course, eligible versus we actually going out to turn you off is 2 different things. So what we want to hear from you is that if you are in the delinquent state, we need you to call us at 410-396-5398. Perhaps we can review your account. We can talk about payment options if you need it. And we do open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5:30, and we can even extend beyond 5:30 if it's needed. Now, I mentioned a little bit earlier about the bill payment assistance. Within DPW, we do have low income as well as the senior discounts for those who need help. And last year, when we passed the water rate increases, what we did was unprecedented, where we floated these discounts with the water rate increases. So what that means is that if we used to give $100 in terms of grant for discount, now if we increase the rate by 10%, that discount now is $110. So to ensure those citizens that are in these needs, they don't sink any deeper. So again, and also what we really need to know is that, first of all, we are reading about 99.75% of the meters out there, unlike several years going back where we've done a number of estimates. So the fact that if you are getting delinquency notices and turn-off notices, please contact us. We want to hear from you. We want to help you. We want to understand what your circumstances are, so we can offer any program that may be helpful to you. But if we don't hear from you, there's no way for us to know that you're going to need assistance. Regarding the water bill, as I mentioned earlier, we are reading 99.75%. We are serving about 400,000 accounts. That's 1.8 million customers in the city as well as the 5 surrounding counties. The 0.25% that's remaining in order standing our way of achieving 100% are about 1,000 accounts that is still got meters inside their home, and we'll be converting them shortly as we beginning to replace our water mains. We didn't think it was a wise idea to go on there, tear up the neighborhood just to install these 1,000 meter pits, just to follow through in the next year or so, coming through your neighborhood again to tear up the street to replace the water main. So we thought we combine those to give the most efficiency and get the bang for the buck. However, just because you receive a high bill, I want to mention a number of factors. A high bill could be a result of, one, You might have a leak on your property. That could be a toilet leak. Believe it or not, toilet leak is what we call in our industry a silent leak. You don't hear much about it, but they can leak thousands and thousands of gallons over the course of 3 months in one billing cycle. And for those leaks, if you can demonstrate that you have someone repaired it, if you give us a receipt, under our policy, we can make adjustments to your accounts. So, we need to hear from you. Now, regarding to what do we do in the recent years, and of course in the near future, additional things that we're going to be helping or conducting and rolling out to ensure our water bills to continue stay in an accurate state. What we've done in the past is that we added staff to make sure that we read all 400,000 accounts out there. We provide a better training and supervision to our staff. And of course, we're changing our system. We're changing our system not only to replace our meters to what we call it, now we call it Altimeter, which is an automated metering infrastructure, AMI. So unlike in the past or the present time where we actually have someone actually walk through your neighborhood, open up one lid at a time, taking one read at a time, what's going to happen is that we're going to be able to transmit these reads electronically, wirelessly to our headquarters. That's where the bills get generated. Now with that added feature, what comes with it is early alerts. So that means if you have a leak, like presently, you wouldn't know it until you get a bill 3 months later. By then, the bill could be huge. Then you got to take time to come in to review your account. But these new billing system, the AMI system, is going to give you alerts because when we begin to see abnormal usages, customers can set up at your desire, whether through text messaging or phone calls or letters or emails to alert you. Perhaps you need to check your plumbing system because we've seen usages in those hours, for example, like 2 o'clock in the morning, where it shouldn't be a whole lot of water usages, but we continue to see high usages. Additionally, we're not stopping there. We are converting or doing away with our minimum billing. I know how the minimum bills particularly impact those fixed income, senior citizens out there. For example, 5/8-inch meter, right now we have a minimum bill of 10 units. So if you use less than 10 units, you get billed for 10 units. When we do away with the new the minimum billing, we begin to bill based on accurate usages, our actual usages. We're also going to be converting our quarterly billing to monthly billing. Just like the rest of other utility or perhaps all the other type of bills that you receive on a monthly basis, it's easier to budget, it's easier to handle and manage. So the combination of no minimum billing and the monthly billing will go a long way in terms of helping our fixed income and our senior citizens out there. And I sort of anticipate there's going to be a question about county water bills versus city water bill. So I'm going to do you a favor by answering that question now. But believe it or not, the county and the city will pay about the same thing. However, just that we bill differently. The city, we bill water bills, that's all inclusive. That means your water and sewer charges, as well as all the infrastructure upgrades and so on, all that. However, the county, we are obligated to send to county resident a water bill for water consumptions only. Sewer charges and capital improvements are appearing on their property tax. So that's where, if you add those categories up, the city and the county, in essence, is exactly the same. With the DPW continue to transition from a reactionary stance to a proactive stance, street sweeping is one of the good example of it. We are expanding, as you know, since last year, beginning to sweep all 4 corners of our city. The northwest, which is the District 6, your street is being swept the first Wednesday on the odd side, and then the second Wednesday of the month that we sweep on the even side. Now, we understand since there are some previously petitioned the streets where they have posted signs or enforced street sweeping signs, that since we expanded into the quadrant, those dates on those signs no longer valid. So therefore, those signs were taken down. We are in the process of trying to get them remanufactured so we can get them back up to you. So meantime, please, we are asking the communities, the community leaders support. You can certainly call DPW to get the please do not park sign from us that you can post in front of your lawn, or perhaps to help to remind the neighborhoods as well as the visitors coming through your neighborhoods on those days that we're doing street sweeping. And certainly, please call 311 if you notice your street was not being swept on the day that it's supposed to. In terms of project, we have one fairly large project that's going on in your district. That is the conversion of Lake Ashburn from a drinking water reservoir to a recreational reservoir. What we're going to be doing is converting this, what we call open finished water reservoirs, to underground storage tank, just to continue to enhance the water quality, to minimize what we call the chlorine byproducts in the water supply itself. So that's will be coming in the coming months and years. As I mentioned earlier, the Energy Office is now a part of the DPW organization. In terms of the Office of Sustainable Energy, notice that we added the word sustainable, is that we're not only going to be looking for reducing ways to reduce energy reliance, energy costs in the city. We are also looking for alternative energy sources such as solars and others. We have provided lighting and heating system improvements in a number of places within the District 6 as listed, as well as that the citizens here can access low-interest loans for energy efficiencies and renewable energy projects within your community. So please let us know. We certainly would like to partner with you. The last page is basically a summary of our work in the last 30 days. Certainly it looks a lot better than the month of February when we had the freezing weathers and where there's so many so-called emergency calls being dispatched out there. So we are, again, like I said, we are continuing to position ourselves to be proactive as much as we can. Matter of fact, if we can convert 90% of our work to the proactive stance, that would be great. And that will leave the 311 to the true, what we call an emergency type of work. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Director Chow. There was one issue that, I wanted you to speak about the proactive rat abatement, and that would be how many questions do we have time for?
Well, two.
All right.
Maybe one, depending on how long it takes.
All right, so if you have this woman right here, if you have a question, if you could come over to that mic, and while you're coming over, Director Chow, if you could talk about the proactive rat abatement.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As Mayor mentioned, we have rolled out just in the about 6 months ago what we call a proactive rat abatement program. Unlike in the past, where we were relying on 311 phone calls to dispatch our crews to abate the rats in your neighborhoods, but we find ourselves, we're constantly basically chasing the population of the rat within the city from one street to the next street, from one neighborhood to the next neighborhood. So what we decided to do is basically blanket the city in a proactive manner. We're going to be staffing up. We're not quite there yet. We're going to be hiring a few more people in a steady state condition. We want to be able to bait across the city within 20-day span. So every 20 days, we're going to be going out there. The reason why we pick 20 days is because the reproductive cycle of the rat is every 20 days, believe it or not. They multiply every 20 days. So we want to get ahead of that population growth, and our crews should be going out there if they see activities going on, whether you get this, whether they dispatch us via 311 complaints or not, we will be baiting every rat board out there in every neighborhood across the city.
Okay, I have two questions. The first question is in regards to your street cleaning or sweeping. That pilot program has become an insightful nightmare in my area. We have an elementary school next door to my house, Grove Park Elementary School, where the teachers insist on parking on various sides of the street, and it refused to follow the protocols of, first Wednesday, second Wednesday. So I am here to hopefully pick up some signs to help eliminate some of that with the school, and we're trying to work with the principal, which has been no avail. The second question, it's not about rats, but the second question is regarding the water meters changing. We had one incident in Edmondson where the water meter was changed and the individual was told that they have to now provide their own services for plumbing for the pipes because of something about their pipes. So when the water was shut off, the water's still off and it wasn't turned back on. And so now the people are in my neighborhood and I'm a little concerned about what is the process when they're actually installing the new meters and just putting the nice little black plastic covers on. Why would we have problems with some of the people's pipes when, most of these pipes are still able to fit meters? So can you help me with that?
Great, thank you. Let me address the first question. First, under the mayor's leadership, that what we really want to enhance the citizens with is the culture change. We want citizens to be proud of their neighborhood. There should be a strong desire from the individuals as far as keeping their streets clean. We understand there are some neighborhoods that perhaps will require signages to go up, and that's part of the reason why we did the pilot program. In one sense, we are educating the community in terms of trying to get them to do the shifting themselves, but at the same time, we are inspecting and observing the neighborhoods that will require signages to go up. Perhaps in the case that you just spoke about, that we need to get the sign back up, but that is being evaluated. As I said, if your street used to be posted, we took it down because the necessity, we're going to be putting the signs back up on that.
Okay.
Regarding your second question about the meter change out,
Yes, sir.
first of all, I just want to say the meter, on the public side of the meter, that is the responsibility of the city. However, between the meter and your home is the responsibility of the homeowner. So our system, our 4,000 miles of water lines out there in the city and the county, our average age is about 80 years old. It's crumbling, and that's part of the reason that we are doing a comprehensive reinvesting in terms of replacing our water mains out there. So the service line that leading up to the home is equally as old as our water mains, 80 years old on the average. Many of them are what we call a galvanized pipe.
Right.
Galvanized pipe gets brittle over time, become very fragile. And that's part of the reason why the city was very concerned, the mayor was very concerned about that aspect of it, because each time you replace, whether it's a sewer service line or the water service line or the sewer lateral line, they cost thousands of dollars each time. Water replacement costs about $3,000, and the sewer service costs about $5,000. No one has that kind of money stashed away just in case. That's the reason why we rolled out this extended warranty program for that purpose.
The home serve. Yeah.
So when we replace the meter, although we can reconnect, because the pipe itself on the property is so fragile, it has a possibility of leaking afterwards. And that's where this extended warranty will become very handy.
So in other words, are we asking the citizens to make sure that they are part of the home serve before you all come into their community? Or, because how can the individual had water in the morning when they went to work, their police officer, when they came home, she didn't have water at all, because when you shut them off, to put the meter on, and now it's her problem, and it's like $4,000, $5,000 problem, and I'm like, ouch. you know.
On the
Well, when we have the breakout sessions, we can go into more
Oh,
detail.
great. Okay.
We do give the notices before the work is
Yeah.
done, and what we did do was blanket the city with information
Right.
about the home serve, so everybody had an opportunity to know. At some point during these next few years, we're doing this this program. I think it even talked about which sections of the city we were. It talked in the notice. It talked about which sections of the city we were coming to give you some sense
Right.
of when it was.
Yeah, they probably knew it was coming,
Right.
but unfortunately, you know, just not signing up with Home Serve or whatever the case may be has now left it to the homeowner. And Madam Mayor, the woman, I'm Karen Thompson-Braden from Northwest.
Yes, so thank you very much for your two questions. Again, remember, we have the breakout session, so we just are given this, just one or two, and that was our two for DPW, and thank you. I want to thank your Senator, Senator Catherine Pugh, for being here. Thank you very much for coming in. And before we're going to go to the next presentation, I know, ma'am, we only had time for two questions in this part, and then I mentioned before that we have the breakout session. So the DPW will be there ready to answer your questions as a part of breakout. The newest member of the cabinet is Jason Perkins Cohen. He's a member of my team. He has over, I always feel like is it Perkins Cohen? Got it. I always want to make it Cohen's Perkins. Perkins Cohen. Got it. Newest member of the team, over 20 years of experience in executive leadership experience in the workforce development area. He's developed and advocated for policies to increase the skills and the job opportunities for low-skilled and low-income job seekers. I'm proud as mayor that we are focused on job creation in our city. We've created over 13,000 jobs and reduced unemployment by a third under my administration, but we still know that there are far too many people that are hurting, that need help, and many of the people who need help are the hardest to employ, and that is the special skill set that Jason brings to the table, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jason. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm actually, is this working? Can everyone hear me? Talking to it. How about now? Yep. Okay, great. Thrilled to be here. I'm actually born at Sinai and still live in District 6. So it's great to talk with my fellow community members, particularly about jobs. So it's getting hot, which makes some of us think about the pool and the beach, but I'm thinking a lot about youth summer jobs. And we have one of the most robust youth summer jobs programs in the nation. So every year, the mayor has made it her goal, and I want to thank her for her leadership, and Councilwoman Middleton, my councilwoman, for her leadership as well, to help young people go to work in the summer rather than doing other things. It's so important that they learn what work's about, bring home a wage, get some experience on their resume that prepares them for the future. And as I said, our goal is 5,000 summer jobs for youth. We already have just about 8,000 youth have already signed up for the program. So we're a bit of a victim of our own success as youth over the years have gotten a job and tasted the great part of working. More and more kids have signed up. And we're trying to get to 5,000. So I would want to, these are real jobs. We have two components. We have the nonprofit sector with the broader umbrella is Youth Works. And on the private sector side, we call it Hire One Youth. But either way, it's a summer job. It's for 5 weeks in the summer. They get paid a real minimum wage. And it's incredibly important. If you are an employer out there and you're open to taking on a very motivated young person, I would love to talk to you afterwards. If you operate a nonprofit and you are open to taking a young person, I'd love to talk to you as well, because we are in the process right now of getting our young people ready for these jobs. We don't just shove them into jobs. We actually have a job readiness component. So these kids give up their time, unpaid time, to spend a few hours with us so they understand what the meaning of work is before they go to the employer. And it's incredibly important. In District 6 last year, we had 562 youth participate. And I should explain that when we say youth, We're talking about young people ages 14 to 21. So on the private sector side, we only place you at the private sector at age 16 and above, but we take young people as young as low as young as 14, and we put them with the public sector. In addition to the summer jobs program, we have an ongoing out-of-school youth program at the Yo Center. That's for ages 16 to 24, and we had 300 young people participate in our program from District 6 in the last year. And that is a comprehensive services. We help with family issues, but given that our focus is on employment development, we do a lot around job readiness training, making sure that their academics are strong, where they need a high school diploma or GED, we help them obtain that. We help to build up their skills so that they're ready for the workforce, and last, of course, but not least, we help them get into a JOB. We also do a lot around reentry. So we have a career center network, and in our network we have 2 one-stops, one on the east side on Madison Street, and one over here on the west side at Mondawmin Mall. And then we have 3 community job hubs with community partners where residents can go and get services as well. At the reentry, sometimes it's called what's called the Northwest Career Center. Sometimes people refer to it as the Reentry Center. They are one and the same, in case you've heard both terms. But I want to be clear that it does not exclusively serve people who have a criminal background. It will serve anyone in the community. But 653 folks with a criminal background did go to the Northwest Career Center and register for services there. And we do have some specialized services that help people with their background in terms of getting their ID if they no longer have it, addressing child support issues, helping with driver's license restrictions as well as expungement if it's appropriate. And 230 people from the district we placed in employment in the last year. The average wage for those jobs was just over $10 an hour. So again, the services that are available at the Northwest Center, we have the 2 centers are really more or less, the services are the same, excepting for a heightened focus at the Northwest Center for folks who have a criminal background. But it's all about jobs, right? So we have a job club where you will sit with an MOED staff person. We will sit with you and go over what your plan is for entering the work world. We will discuss what jobs you're actually applying for. We'll, of course, make referrals, and then we'll come back together and talk about your progress. What, if you weren't employed, what other issues can we do to make you more prepared for the next interview, or help build up your skills so that you are the one that is selected. That's it. So thank you very much. I look forward to talking with you after the session and hear more directly.
Thank you very much, Jason. Asking that as we move forward, and so that we're not here until 3 o'clock this afternoon or later, that agencies, as Jason just did, keep your presentations below 5 minutes if possible. Residents who would like to ask a question, we're asking that you're given one opportunity per agency or per presentation, so that we get input from other residents in District 6. And that we are now moving for any questions before we go to schools for the Office of Employment Development. Normally, OED is not a part of the presentation portion of Cabinet and Community, but OED was one of the top 5 survey responses on our survey. So we thank you again, Jason. And I don't see any hands up. And again, there's an opportunity to meet with Jason and members of his staff during the breakout sessions. We'll move forward to this presentation from the schools.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicole Price. I bring greetings on behalf of Dr. Thornton, who apologizes that he could not be here, but he had a scheduling conflict. I will be brief and try to keep it definitely under 5 minutes, Gus. One of the most notable things that is going on for Baltimore City Schools is the 21st Century Buildings Project. That is where Baltimore City, in partnership with the city, the state and Maryland Stadium Authority is leveraging about $6 million in bond funds, $20 million from Baltimore City, $20 million from city schools, and $20 million from the state to modernize 23 to 28 new school buildings. Specific to the 6th district, there are 2 schools, Forest Park Senior High School and Pimlico Elementary Middle School, that would be modernized in what we call the first phase. There are 2 additional schools, Arlington Elementary, or elementary middle now, but what will be elementary school when it opens in 2018, as well as Cross Country Elementary Middle School, that while not in the 6th district, we do actually see students and families from the 6th district attending both of those schools. So all in all, residents from the 6th district will have access to 4 modernized school buildings under the 21st Century Buildings Project. Forest Park High School, which will open roughly in September 2018. Pimlico Elementary Middle School, which will open roughly in September 2018. Arlington Elementary School is currently an elementary middle school now, but when it opens in September as a modernized 21st century building, it will be an elementary school only. And then Cross Country Elementary Middle School, which will open roughly in September 2020. So as a part of the 21st Century Buildings Project, we are looking at modernizing school buildings and having certain characteristics. Those characteristics include flexible and adaptable spaces, interactive social areas, so increased use of the building technology. Jason was just asking me a few minutes ago, can I get Wi-Fi access in here? And traditionally, when I walk into a school building, I can because I'm a part of the school system, but for whatever reason, then the cafeteria is not working for me today. But in 21st century buildings, that would no longer be an issue. The building will be Wi-Fi accessible, increased technology. Other characteristics of a 21st century building include collaborative space, collaborative learning, not just collaborative spaces for teachers and students, but student to student, student to teacher, and teacher to teacher. The last one, where we get sort of the most level of interest from community members beyond parents, is welcome and inclusive learning environments for community members. So included in those 20th century buildings is what we call 3,000 square foot of community use of space. And so has been a lot of interest in how these buildings will be designed for students, but also how the buildings will be designed to be welcoming and inviting to community residents. The process for building these buildings calls for a minimum of 8 community meetings where the community can have input into that process. Separate from that, we also run a community use of space process to talk about the types of partnerships and services that students, families, community members, teachers would like to see in that 3,000 square foot of community space. Just to sort of round out, all the 21st century school buildings are coming online at a time where the city is seeing an increase in population specific to this area here. We're looking at Pimlico with things that planning are doing around housing. So there's a lot of opportunity to leverage that new school building as well as the work that planning is doing around housing to revitalize this community. We welcome input into all of those schools, Forest Park, Pimlico, Arlington, and Cross Country. As meetings are held, they are open to the public, and we invite participation all throughout the process.
Thank you, Ms. Price. Madam Mayor, did you want to chime in with a comment or?
Thank you very much for representing Dr. Thornton. We were together canvassing in, I think it would be District 9, right? This morning was 11. This morning, making sure that families knew about the opportunity for pre-K enrollment that is going to start next week. So I want to thank you for being here on his behalf. And I also want to thank Delegate Antonio Hayes. I realize I missed him coming in. I know I see you back there somewhere. Where'd you go, Antonio? Thank you very much for your hard work during your first session representing the 40th District and the legislature. And thank you for being here this morning as well.
And so I know that schools was another one of the top hot issues as we did presentations throughout the last 60 days. So I'm asking that anyone who has a question about schools, any schools that are in this district, for you to raise your hand. I know that we have someone else at the mic, and I know, Will, you actually asked a question earlier, Ms. Winbush, you actually asked a question earlier. Is there
I
anyone
thought you
else?
said per topic.
Is there anyone else who has a question about schools? If
I
you
do.
would just raise your hand. Since you're at the mic, go ahead,
Okay,
Ms. Winbush.
once
And by the
again-
way, just for clarification, I'm asking that if you've already asked a question, to give everyone an opportunity to ask, that you defer to the next resident and hold your question until the breakout sessions. Since you're at the mic, Ms. Winbush,
Thank
please.
you so much, Mr. Augustus. Once again, my name is Rhonda Winbish. I'm a community advocate, but I'm also a special education advocate, and in the last 3 years, I've been a lobbyist for appropriate education, burden of proof. And I go from school to school along with a team of special education advocates, and we have organizations. I used to be the chair of CCAC, Baltimore City CCAC, and I'm a member of Citywide Special Education. And what we're finding is that the morale is so low with parents, even to see a future with their children, with the school system, as well as in the communities. And I think that's a large part of the fact that the department heads, the directors are not from Baltimore, and they can't relate to us. Like Mr. Chow, he's from Montgomery County with a small water bill, when we're from Baltimore City with a big water bill. Or Mr. Thornton, who's from Milwaukee. So we don't connect with the people who we are supposed to connect with. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Winbush.
So I would love to follow up with you after the meeting. My name is Nicole Price. I'm the Director of Family and Community Engagement. I am from Baltimore City, a graduate of City College High School, long-term resident of the city. Part of what my office does is to make sure that we are engaging parents, community members. I talked about the 8 meetings for the building project. We are now revamping our community engagement strategy, and I would love to have you come be a part of that. One of the things that we're talking about doing is hosting actually meetings similar to this, regional meetings, where we not just say, here's what we're gonna come present, but where we ask parents and community members, what are the things that you actually wanna hear and learn about Baltimore City, and then set up and schedule workshops around those specific things. So I would love to connect with you afterwards.
All right, thank you again, Ms. Price. One of the big issues during the canvassing was the Office of Code Enforcement and Housing. And we had with us Commissioner Paul Graziano, who will be presenting on housing. Oh,
Thank you.
well, excuse me, I'm sorry. So what I was saying earlier, Mr. Hanna, and I allowed Ms. Winbush to go ahead and speak because she was at the mic. If you've already asked a question, we're asking that you defer your question for breakouts. So I apologize, I didn't see you at the mic, I was looking at the screen. That's why I asked Ms. Winbush to speak. So I'm going to ask that we move ahead with Commissioner Graziano so that we can be on schedule. And you will have a moment to lift your very important point afterwards.
So Gus, I actually don't have a breakout session, so I don't mind taking a question.
If you could step out into the hallway and take it, that would be great,
That would
so we
be
could
great.
keep moving. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and Madam Mayor and Madam Councilwoman. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. We have a number of activities going on in this district and throughout the city. We're going to focus here on some vacancy to value activity and some code enforcement activity. In this 6th district, there are currently over 1,400 vacant structures. We've taken significant activity in recent years under the Vacancy to Value program. Over 200 properties have been renovated, fully renovated. These are long-term vacants and or are under construction right now. We have 26 receiverships that have been filed. These are code enforcement actions through the court to get the properties from owners who are sitting on them and doing nothing to new owners who are renovating the property so that it can be reoccupied. There's another 16 of those receiverships pending. It's a tool that we'll continue to use throughout this district. We've seen more than $2.2 million in private investment leveraged through these code enforcement activities. We've demolished 10 properties. There's another 10 on the 4300 block of Park Heights Avenue, but there's a major surge that we expect to see over 360 properties demolished as part of the Park Heights major redevelopment area activity. And I hope you all got a chance to pick up a copy of the Park Heights report in the back of the room on the table to my left, closer to the door as you're heading out. This is a status report of a whole range of activities around Park Heights, and especially in the major redevelopment area, which is 62 acres in Central Park Heights that is going to be fully acquired by the city and cleared. In fact, we already own over 80% of that property, and that's where the 360 properties will be demolished in the next year. And in fact, I want to thank the mayor specifically because she has provided funding to ensure that we could accelerate the acquisition and clearance in the 4600 block, the 4700 block, and the 4800 blocks of Park Heights Avenue. All that activity will be completed later this year, and then we will be demolishing, commencing this summer and then through next spring. I'd also like to report that we had a developers roundtable, and I know the councilwoman was there on Tuesday. We had 2 sessions, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. It was a lot of interest in looking at the reinvestment in the major redevelopment area once we have it cleared by next spring. So I think we'll start to see some real reinvestment activity in that particular area about a year from now. The actual clearance and site assembly will be completed before that. I'd also like to point out in the last 5 years, we've already seen $180 million worth of reinvestment in the Park Heights area. Throughout the area, we can talk about that in the breakout session as well. Let me go to the code enforcement, and I want to thank the councilwoman and her peers for giving us the tool of a $900 citation, which is something that allows us to now go after long-term vacant structures with a notice and a citation, which is kind of like a parking ticket. Instead of our attorneys having to go to court and prosecute every case, we can use this very effective tool. And it is one that has prompted a lot of folks who've been sitting on property to now get either to get it back into the reinvestment stream or to convey it to somebody who would do that. In terms of using that the streamlined code enforcement tools, there are 16 neighborhoods in this district, and I won't read them all out here, but you can see, or maybe I will because I know people in the back can see. There's Ashburton, Galloway Garrison, Dolefield, Forest Park, Central Forest Park, Concerned Citizens of Forest Park, Silburn, Dorchester, East Arlington, Garwin Oaks, Levendale, Park Lane, West Arlington, West Forest Park, Windsor Hills, and Woodbury. Those are called streamlined code enforcement areas because we are using the $250 citation and the $900 citations throughout those districts. It allows us to more comprehensively target code problems, whether they're components of the building or whether it's an entire vacant building. And if you have any concerns in your neighborhood, and you live in one of these neighborhoods, just call us at 311 and put in a service request, and we will get somebody out there to ensure that we address those issues. In terms of some of the other activity in the district, I think the councilwoman mentioned earlier Park Heights Renaissance, and Cheo Hurley, who's here with that group. The housing department is working closely with Park Heights Renaissance on a housing rehab program, and that's in areas surrounding the major redevelopment area, not in the actual redevelopment area. We also have, they're working closely with a group, well, DOGHASH actually stands for the Division of Green, Healthy, and Sustainable Homes. We have a lot of money for weatherization programs, for rehab programs. We got programs we can come in and replace your old oil furnace if you have one, or oil burner, boiler. with a gas furnace or boiler, that'll save you close to $1,000 per year on your heating bills. We urge you to contact us if you have that situation. We have a lot of special programs targeted to seniors. Just quickly on capital work, the Housing Authority has spent about $8 million over the last several years on a variety of sites. The next big project is something called the Rental Assistance Demonstration for Bell Park Tower on Belvedere. We'll be doing $12.5 million worth of reinvestment, a total rehab of that structure to preserve 253 units. The residents will not be required to move. This is a program to preserve their homes, not to move them out. Then just quickly on project finance, I'm not going to go through these, but well over 200 affordable units produced over the last several years, some for seniors, some for aging out youth, some for families, and over $36 million in investment. The Community Development Block Grant Program is used by a number of organizations in the Park Heights area, including the Development Corporation of the Northwest, and Park Heights Renaissance, I mentioned, and Garwin Oaks Northwest Housing Resource Center. The last slide just summarizes our service requests over the last 30 days. The single biggest one is sanitation with 295 vacant buildings and illegal dumping are some of the other major categories. We will be available in one of the breakout rooms for anybody who has any specific questions about addressing challenges in their neighborhood. Like I said, we'll be available in the breakout room to answer any questions that anybody might have concerning code enforcement issues in your community.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. And I know that, again, if you could hold up the Park Heights book, I know that we have several residents who are here. The book that talks, the pamphlet that talks about a lot of the work that's been going on in Park Heights, I believe that is in the back.
Yes, on the left table.
Yeah, on the left table in the back. And the presentation, again, if you take a look at the piece of paper that we passed out that has a map on it in the bottom right corner, is the link to all of these presentations. So if you want to go back for reference and you have questions, that is there. I'm going to do Gus's job real quick. If we have one or two questions, I know according to my schedule, we are running a little long on the presentations. I really want to make sure we get time for the breakout session. So if there's one person that has a housing question, otherwise we'll go straight to fire. You're going to save it for the breakout? God bless you. All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to Chief Ford.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Councilwoman Middleton, cabinet members, members of this great community. Gus, I'm going to practice the 5 B's. Be brief, brother, be brief. Okay. I'm Baltimore City Fire Department. We're doing an outstanding job on mitigating emergencies. We recognize the 4 E's, the importance of education, the importance of enforcement, the importance of engineering, and the importance of economics. I'm going to talk about 2 of those issues. One first is engineering. We are trying to really canvass communities by installing 10-year smoke alarms, which we know gives people the best opportunity to exit houses that are burning. We notice just as a lot of communities that are like our communities that we have many fire fatalities and injuries. We want to give people an opportunity to get out of these houses, so we have people canvassing the community, literally going door to door, knocking on the doors to install 10-year smoke alarms that we are installing for free. Now, beyond that, if we do not make it to your household and you want someone to come out and look at your smoke alarms or install one, if you call 311, with the exception of something really outstanding going on in the city where we just don't have the personnel, we will get to your house within 2 hours to install a smoke alarm. One of the other E's I wanted to point out was education. When our folks go on these Saturday safety sweeps and the safety initiatives that we do throughout the week, we knock on people's doors, we ask about the smoke alarms, we install smoke alarms, but also we educate you about fire safety, but also EMS. Our goal is to try to create and develop a very, very safe community. Madam Mayor, last year, we ran 6,568 emergency incidents in this community, in District 6. Combined suppression units actually responded 28,939 times in emergency incidents in this community. We had 7 medic units specifically that are housed within this district, and they ran 33,227 times in this neighborhood. Fire suppression units also conducted 427 building inspections in the District 6, in the 6 districts, resulting in several violations, most of which were abated within 7 days. Now, the home visit initiative that I spoke about, fire department personnel, like I said, visited approximately 3,331 residences in District 6, installing smoke alarms and 10-year nature and offering education. Suppression units also responded and attended 113 community meetings and events, cultivating relationships with the neighborhood groups and educating the community. Now, before I close, I want to point out a few other things that the department's doing. We have programs in a few schools in the city where we're trying to educate our young kids, our high school age kids, to become qualified to be firefighter. Our goal is when they graduate from high school, they will walk out of high school with a Firefighter 1 certificate and an EMT basic certificate, both which are nationally recognized, both of which they can get jobs anywhere in the country, especially Baltimore City Fire Department. So that is our goal. But beyond that point, we're doing something else. In the next few months, we're going to ramp up our recruiting efforts. Literally visiting barbershops, beauty shops, community colleges, the other colleges in the city, and anything else, any place else that we can sit down and talk to people who have a heart for service and may want to make sure that they stay here in the community, as the mayor pointed out, and raise their families here and serve the community, and not putting down anyone else's service. I don't think there's a better service than Baltimore City Fire Department. So look forward to us over the next few months. If you have any young people, or older people for that matter, that may be interested in service, they can get online with DHR and put in a letter of interest, and they will email you when they open the application process. Thank you, Mayor. That ends my presentation.
Chief Ford, I just want to thank you so much for the smoke and fire program. Real quick, back in February, I think there was a fire right on Green Spring, across from the Kennedy Krieger. There was those two row houses on the end, basically right next to Martin Luther King Elementary Middle, and the houses, they were, the fires were basically 6 months apart, and that whole block was kind of, scared of figuring out what's going on. The chief came out personally with me, and we canvassed that particular block, and the firefighters went on throughout the community, and this program is a program one of its kind in the entire country. And every time I call and ask for, assistance in walking, I think they even go to some of the community meetings. Yes, so I can't thank you enough for having this program and working with the community and myself.
Thank you, ma'am.
2 things. Within 2 hours of calling 311, you can get a firefighter to come out and install a smoke detector. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I think that's worthy of an applause. Within 2 hours. And then to hear that we have high school seniors who can qualify for a job at any fire facility in the nation because of the a program that you instituted. Again, I think that deserves a round of applause. So we're gonna. I did see a hand up. Madam Mayor, did you? I saw. Okay, I did see the hand up. A hand up, or at least I thought I saw a hand up. Someone who wanted to raise a question, other than the photographer. Is your hand really raised? Yes. Sure. Microphone is right in front of you, sir.
To the chief, sir. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I do.
My question to you is: you mentioned going into barbershops, and as you know, formerly working with JOTF. There's an issue with people in the community who have records, right, who want to work. Is that a possibility?
if they have a felony record, that is a challenge. You have to understand we're sending people into people's homes, and there's qualifications they've got to have. There's certifications they can't get, state and national certifications right now that they can't get because of felonies. And I understand that being a problem, and I've run into it a bunch since I've been here.
If I could, just as a follow-up, I would ask you to, if you can, work with the issue, at least explore the ones nonviolent, if you could.
Right now, I'm running for second vice president of the International Association of Fire Chiefs. And that's one of my things on my agenda, to make that argument on a national level.
Next up, we have from the Police Department, Commissioner Anthony Batts.
Well, I think I'm getting too close to the end, so I'm going to try to make this a 3-minute presentation very quickly. We're going to be in a breakout room, and we will have my entire command staff if I miss something. Madam Mayor, Councilmember Middleton, thank you for allowing us to come. I was here at the opening of First Day at KIPP, which is a wonderful school. We also had a suspicious person last year, so we got to come in and talk to the young kids here. As far as my command staff this year, I'm going to go through very quickly that are present. Deputy Commissioner Paul Meir, Deputy Commissioner Davis, Acting Lieutenant Colonel Mo Robinson, new Chief of Staff Melissa Hyatt, Colonel Garnell Green of Professional Standards, Internal Affairs Chief Rodney Hill, Major Partee of the Northwest, Major Smith of the Northern, and announcing a new Community Relations Division, Ganesha Martin, who used to be my Chief of Staff prior in that position. We started a new patrol deployment plan to put more officers at the time where we need them and not where we don't need them, which means that we shouldn't have huge numbers of police officers on our streets at 5 a.m. in the morning when you don't have the activity out there. So we shifted that. Our first shift starts at what would be 2200 or 10 p.m. It ends at 8 o'clock in the morning. We then have an overlap for an hour. We have our day shift that starts at 7 in the morning, goes to 5. Day shift is overlapped starting at 1 o'clock to match when the schools get out. We have what we call our Davis shift, comes on from 1 p.m. and is out there to 11 o'clock at night. Then we have another overlap that occurs at 4 o'clock, which will be 1600, from 4 p.m. to 2 in the morning. So what that means, overly simplified, is between 1 o'clock in the afternoon to 2 a.m. in the morning, we have three times the amount of police officers that we had out there in years prior. What we're starting to see is the areas where we had significant overtime impacts by calling police officers back to work because we didn't have enough on our afternoon shift is dramatically going down by leaps and bounds. This slide talks about crime updates in the districts. I'm not going to go through all of them, but some of the initiatives deal with Pimlico Road, Silburn, the mobile coffee with a cop, 5,000 Park Heights, and also community cleanup as some of the initiatives. Quickly, last year we had one of the second best reduction in crime overall, but I want to go over statistics because I'm sure you want to share your issues, and that we'll be there to listen to those issues and to respond to those issues when we have the breakout group as a whole. But in light of some of the current things that have taken place, what is notable is that the police department last year had a 46% decrease in excessive force complaints against police officers, had a 53% reduction in discourtesy complaints, had one of the most dramatic reductions in the number of police-involved shootings in recent history of this police department, and had a dramatic reduction in lawsuits made against the police organization as a whole, and we continue to change and do services. What we're trying to do is change the nature of this police department, not only one that does enforcement, but one that also helps this community and helps the community survive and exceed. We've gone into donating school supplies and equipment to kids starting schools. We have a number of our officers who are basketball coaches, football coaches, baseball coaches. We have somewhere close to 60 to 70 police employees participating in the mayor's Back to Read camp that we're reading to 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds so they can read, so they can graduate from school. We have a program that was mentioned earlier. We have all officers out of their cars 30 minutes in their shift every single day to get out to walk the business corridors, our residential corridors. But I want to get more than just them walking. I want them to engage the community. I want them to speak to people. I want them to get to know the people and the community as a whole. And I've heard a lot of positives throughout the city that people are starting to see our officers out more and more. We have a great program dealing with the Inner Harbor. We've also established 7 advisory boards within the police department so people have access to share what are specific issues within our community that we can shift, and asking our community to come in to help change our policies. And our advisory boards range from African American, Latino, gay and lesbian, youth, survivors, business, and academic. We also have community people who are on our promotional boards. So we bring residents in to sit on the board, so all command officers have to explain to the community how they care about the city of Baltimore, what they've done in the city of Baltimore to make Baltimore a better place as a whole. As we conclude, you see some of the stats for Council District 6. They're not close to where my expectations are or what I like. The positives are is that our rape counts are down, our burglaries are down, our robberies are down. The grand total in our district is down 9%. But we will get those numbers dealing with homicide and non-fatal shootings down also. Is that correct, Major Smith and Major Partee? Thank you so very much. That's my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, sir. Your name and the neighborhood you're from.
My name is Patrick Henderson. I'm from the Ashburton area and the Doveville stakeholders. I listened to you, Commissioner. I didn't hear you mention body cameras. Where are we on that? What is going on, Madam Mayor? We know that it's happening all across the country, and I'm amazed at the stats that he gave that it's dropping at all. But we do believe as a community and as a city that if our policemen had cameras on them, it would make all of us feel a little bit better.
I agree, and that's why the pilot program for body cameras will be in place this year.
You say this year, could you be a little more definite?
We are working on the RFP that will go out as in the next few weeks, I believe, correct?
Yes, ma'am. I signed the proposition for RFP last Friday. I think we're tweaking it, so it's already in motion.
So then after the RFP, people have a chance to respond to that RFP. The pilot program, after they respond, it'll take a few months to implement after that. So I don't have an exact date, but the commitment is that the pilot program will be in place and we'll be able to examine different technology, different cameras, and see what fits best for Baltimore so we can make sure that we get it right. I know that you're interested in it being quick, but we also have to make sure it's done right. I don't think that this is something that we want to get wrong, and we want to make sure that we're getting it right for our needs, as well as that we're doing the best we can to anticipate costs. We've seen in other jurisdictions around the country where in an effort to swiftly implement, it's cost taxpayers millions and millions of dollars. And I don't believe that that is the best way to achieve the goals that we all want for our city.
I agree with you, but I don't understand, because I understand that most cities pay attention to what other cities are doing, so they're best practices. And many of these jurisdictions and cities have gone through the process. So
there's no implementation for there's no citywide implementation for a city our size.
It's the size of our city
It's a lot of it. There's a whole lot. And again, we'll be in the breakout sessions, but they will be coming this year.
Thank you.
And I could also,
and Senator Pugh, if you have a question.
I just wanted to add to that during the session this year, because Baltimore the mayor had already done a process. The state is also setting up a process for body cameras. And what we wanted to make sure of was that our process was not stopped, because we are a little bit ahead of what other jurisdictions. There are about 14 other jurisdictions in the state that are doing body cameras, and but they've not done them correctly. And so the state has put out a whole plan in terms of how we push that out. But what we wanted to make sure of, and we did that in legislation, allow Baltimore City to continue to move ahead, because it's already taken steps to move us ahead with the body cameras. So thank you for that. Thank you.
And one of the things I wanted to share is that I was in charge of the second city in the United States that went to body cameras. And in that city, we were not only on the cutting edge, but we were on the bleeding edge. And there was a lot of lessons that we learned. And I'd like to applaud the mayor for taking a very wise approach of slowing down and walking through the steps, because there was a lot of things that we learned 5 years ago that have dramatically changed. And with that task force, well, the fire chief and myself have a new boss that oversees us as a public safety director, and also was a person who led that task force, Miss Stephanie Robinson, who's in the first row. You need to raise your hand, ma'am.
Please stand up. Yes, you can stand up for a reason. Great. Thank you, Senator Pugh. Thank you, Commissioner Batts. Madam Mayor, do you want to add a comment to that before we go to Mr.? Okay.
You can go to Jason, and then I'll close us out. And then to close us for this part, and then we'll go to the breakout.
Great. We have a quick announcement by Jason from the Mayor's Office of Employment Development. Yes, sir.
Sorry, I just want to make sure there's one more point I wanted the room to hear, which is that thanks to the leadership of the mayor and again Councilwoman Middleton, we'll be opening the Regional Skills Training Center, which is at 4910 Park Heights. It's the old Magna building, and we have our anchor tenant is called JARC, which is the Jane Addams Resource Center, and they're going to be training in manufacturing, which we know is open to people of all kinds of backgrounds and offers family supporting wages. That training is about to happen starting next month, and any resident who wants to be engaged in that training, they're having the orientations every Wednesday at 9 a.m. You need to be there by 9 a.m. And again, these are providing really strong jobs. And later in the year, they'll be providing welding training as well, and we'll be putting other occupational skills training in that center. So instead of it being a mostly vacant center, we're going to turn that into something that residents can go to, get the skills they need to get really good jobs. Happy to talk more in the breakout. Oh, and ribbon cutting is May 7th. The mayor and Councilwoman Middleton will be there as well.
Thank you. And lastly, before we start our breakout sessions, again, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking your time this afternoon to talk with me and my cabinet. We are anxiously anticipating the breakout sessions where we can more specifically address some of your concerns. I want to thank and to ask you to give a hand to your Councilwoman Sharon Green Middleton. And very, very quickly, before we head out to the break sessions, I would like to ask Principal Lucas, Principal Walter, and Kate Mayer, Executive Director, if you are here to come up, I would love to thank you for your generous use of the building today. You can accept on behalf of all of them. Thank you so very much. Appreciate it. Can I get this off? Thank you again. Enjoy the breakout sessions. Have a blessed weekend.